Honourable members, earlier today I received from the Clerk, and have reluctantly accepted, notice of the Clerk's intention to retire.
Being Clerk has been a tremendous honour. It's a real privilege. It's not just a job.
Appointed Clerk of the Parliaments and Clerk of the Legislative Council in 2011, he's provided independent and authoritative advice with an intellect and integrity that have earned him the highest respect from all who have had the privilege of working alongside him.
Being able to harness the energy and enthusiasm, the intelligence and the skills of all of the staff here to all be contributing to the functioning of our parliamentary democracy. I think that's what I found most rewarding about this job.
David's retirement will mark the conclusion of an extraordinary career dedicated to the service of parliamentary democracy in New South Wales. David will be greatly missed by all, but his legacy will endure in the strength of the council that he has so faithfully served.
I actually came into this building for the first time almost by accident. At the end of uni, I was applying for a cadetship in journalism, and I had to interview a local identity. So I decided to try and interview my local state MP. That's what brought me in here for the first time. Thinking back to the first week as Clerk in 2011, the day that the President announced that I'd been appointed as Clerk, and I'd just come up from Government House having taken the official oath and pledge of loyalty before the Governor, and my mum, my auntie, my wife and 3 children were in the President's gallery. And the President then reported no less than 3 returns to order, and the opposition immediately took a tricky point of order on which I had to advise the President. So yes, it was straight to work. My path to becoming Clerk was really quite a long apprenticeship. I spent 5 years as an officer of the Legislative Assembly, supporting the ICAC Joint Committee, supporting the Public Accounts Committee. I then came over to the Council as Director of the Law and Justice Committee. My supervisor and mentor, Warren Carl, went on long service leave, and he tapped me on the shoulder and invited me to fill in for him in the senior management role for 6 months. And I just found that it was something that I had an aptitude for. I really liked it, really enjoyed it. And so between 1999 and 2011, I did jobs such as being the Director of Research, Director of the Procedure Office, Clerk Assistant, Usher of the Black Rod. That was fun. And then 4 years as Deputy Clerk. Well, it's pretty obvious that this place where I'm standing, the Legislative Council chamber, would have to be my favourite place in this entire building. This place has been the site of so many dramatic moments in New South Wales political history. So much has happened here. I feel like I've invested so much of my life sitting in this chair right here. When I think about the ways in which the New South Wales Parliament has evolved in that time, I'm taken back to the words of the late Harry Evans, former Clerk of the Australian Senate in 2006, when he described the Legislative Council as a world leader in the way in which it holds governments to account. As a committee staffer, I observed those early days of non-government majorities in the Legislative Council, and then of course the famous Egan cases of the 1990s where the Legislative Council successfully asserted its powers. In 2019 we saw 20 new sessional orders that really revolutionised the way the House works in not only holding the government to account but also empowering private members. And then at the end of that parliamentary term, 2022, nearly all of those sessional orders were adopted as standing orders, as new permanent rules for the council going forward. There was also a fundamental change in 2007 with the establishment of the Department of Parliamentary Services. No longer was the clerk expected to be an expert on parliamentary law, practice and procedure, but also to be the expert on IT, catering and a heritage building, library services and accounting. Good morning everyone, and welcome to another week in the life of the Legislative Council.
Look at your smile. Yeah. So excited.
see you all. So, the President's Program for being clerk for 13 years has taught me something about leadership. It's also taught me a lot about myself, that I'm more resilient than perhaps I realised, that it is indeed possible for an introvert to be a leader and really enjoy every interaction with the great people in this place, and to even come to enjoy public speaking. But most of all, that in being a leader you need to be yourself. I could never do scary. I never wanted to be a scary leader. I always wanted to lead with kindness and compassion. I hope I've succeeded in that. You know, maybe I'm getting a bit wistful.
Never.
In the final 15 minutes of any budget estimates you'll ever have, Mr. Bond.
Do you have any final reflections that you would like to place on the record?
Do I have some things to... No. I leave a department of the Legislative Council which consists of staff of the most amazing calibre and qualities. They've been such a joy to work with, just as it has been a joy to work with all of you and your colleagues over the years. If I'd accepted the place that I was offered on that Everest expedition in 1994, perhaps I would have become a mountaineer. And there have been a couple of occasions when I have thought about making the jump over to the legal profession, but I'm really glad that I've stayed. What I can say is that having spent the last 35 years supporting and championing parliamentary democracy, I do suspect there'll be quite a bit of a flavour of that through the future. I also leave behind lots of books, lots of conference papers, lots of words, lots of publications. Hopefully they're of use to parliamentary officers and to members into the future, but I do promise to keep well out of the way of my successor and the team here.
Now, I move this motion today to mark a bittersweet moment in the history of the New South Wales Parliament, a moment where we not only celebrate the contributions of a highly distinguished individual and thank him for the profound impact that he's had on this institution, but also to wish him all the very best as he embarks upon the next chapter of his life.
As clerk, David has displayed commitment, inflexible integrity, and impressive knowledge of the practice and procedure of the House, and unshakable impartiality.
His wisdom is never to be challenged, although sometimes ignored at our own peril. I know David takes great delight in being given difficult tasks to solve. My staff have frequently taken joy in putting forward to him the unusual and obscure.
He's always 5 moves ahead of the rest of us when it comes to the epic battles that we have in this place. That in fact, what we are witnessing is David playing chess against himself all the time.
You know who he's like and who he reminds me of? Gandalf. Tolkien's Gandalf of Lord of the Rings. The clerk is a wizard, and not just any wizard. He is a wizard of great power and knowledge, but one who works mostly by encouraging and persuading.
So thank you, David, for 35 years of service to the Parliament, to the Legislative Council and to the people of New South Wales.
Other alternative career paths? Well, if that punk rock group that I was a part of in the early 1980s, Dresden, if we were more successful, perhaps if we were more talented, who knows, maybe I could have been a rock star.
Is everyone ready for the greatest punk rock experience of your life?